If these rumors are true, you better start saving for GTA 6 right now. Did the next PS5 showcase just get downgraded? And one of 2023's most messed up games just got a whole lot better. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to PSReady. This is the midweek news update. Hope you're having a ton of fun playing either Armored Core 6, Baldur's Gate, or something else. I don't really know what you're doing. Here in Michigan, it was like 60 degrees last week every day, and I got in the fall mood, so I downloaded SnowRunner to play on my Steam Deck out in my backyard in front of the bonfire, and then every day this week, it has been at least 80 to 95 degrees. I just wish fall would start. That was the one thing I was excited for when I moved back here. But yeah, I'm getting antsy for that, so I've been playing SnowRunner on my Steam Deck. It also runs awesome on the PlayStation 5. I'm excited for SnowRunner Expeditions. I think next year, if you're looking for something a little bit different than what you've been normally playing, that is one game that I recommend checking out. All right, so this first news story is absolutely crazy, and I'm still like 50-50 on it. I'm not totally sure how much I believe it, but there's a ton of rumors going around saying that when GTA 6 comes out, probably around October of next year, it's going to cost $150, which is absolutely insane. But if there's one game that I feel like could charge $150 and people would definitely complain about it, but they would probably still end up going to get it when it eventually comes out, it's GTA. I mean, I look at TikTok all the time now. I had it deleted off my phone, but I got bored the other day. I re-downloaded it, and I have been getting so many TikToks from people who are getting super nostalgic over GTA 5 being, I think, 10 years old this year. And then they're also talking about how much fun they had on GTA Online during the whole lockdown situation. And people just love Grand Theft Auto. It's the biggest game pretty much ever, only followed by Red Dead Redemption 2. But even if you take Red Dead and compare its sales to GTA 5, it's not even in competition. If GTA 5 hasn't surpassed the original Super Mario Bros., I am positive that it totally will by the time GTA 6 comes out. And speaking of Super Mario Bros., it's kind of crazy that back when games like that were coming out, you know, on the NES and the Super Nintendo, publishers were charging over $100 frequently, right? Like, not every game had a standardized price of $50 or $60 or now $70. It was depending on the game and the quality that was to be expected from it. The price could go all the way up to $150, but this is not something we've seen in quite some time. Technically, if you look at Call of Duty, that game is basically a $100 game now, because if you want to get everything and make sure you're ready to go day one, if they have early access or, you know, any of those early trial periods that games like Starfield are getting now, you're going to end up paying at least $100. That's a precedent they set a long time ago, back when you were getting map packs, right? Like, they had a Call of Duty subscription service, which was really just like paying $100 for Call of Duty instead of $60, and you would get all the map packs and the zombies updates as they came out. And now you pay $100 and I guess you get some boosts in Warzone or something like that, but that's already technically a $100 game. And you could also make the same argument for Forza Horizon 4.5. I mean, Forza Horizon 5, which had the early access period where you could pay $100 and then play it a few days early, and Starfield, the most recent example of this. Ray and I just talked about it on his channel, but Microsoft is obviously seeing a ton of success charging $30 on top of Game Pass subscribers, or $100 to people who don't have Game Pass to play games a week early. And it's kind of weird that they call that early access, because the game is finished at that point. You're downloading the entire finished product. They're just charging you to play the game on release date, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, I know Starfield and Forza Horizon are both huge games. I'm pretty sure though, over on the PlayStation side, Baldur's Gate 3 had an early access period as well, with that only being a few days, but that's the same situation, right? Like, you're paying to have the release date for the game launch earlier for you than other people. I'm not totally in love with the practice. I did get a review key for Starfield, but I also pre-ordered the Constellation Edition and I got early access through that. I don't know, obviously, just like with microtransactions and battle passes and everything else, everyone loves to complain about these things, but when push comes to shove, they end up purchasing them. I'm of course guilty of that, having bought the Constellation Edition, but that was the thing I was least excited for, right? Like, I wanted the watch, I wanted the cool NASA style case, I wanted the steelbook and the credit replica. The early access was whatever, because I'm just going to be real, I was pretty sure I was getting a review code for that game. Now, the reason I think they could justify charging $150 for GTA 6 is because at this point in time, GTA 5 has become two completely different games. You have the story mode, which did get updates over time. If you bought the PS4 edition of GTA 5, you eventually got the first person mode, and if you paid the $5 upgrade fee to get GTA 5 on PS5, you got ray tracing with that. It's not the craziest ray tracing or anything like that, but it was a legitimate upgrade over the PS4 edition of the game, and it runs at a pretty hard locked frame rate, which is really cool. But then on the other side of the fence, you've got a game that's been updated regularly since it came out, which is GTA Online. People do role playing in that. They do streams where someone will be a cop and they're pulling people over. There's full-on expansions that are story-based. I think they added Catalina Island and had a whole expansion based around that. There's like a drug cartel thing. There's a full-on sequel to the GTA 5 story with Franklin. Like, they have been updating that regularly to the point where I think if they really wanted to, they could separate it out and sell it as its own game and people really wouldn't care. They obviously tried to do the same thing with Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Online, but it just never really caught on in the way that GTA Online did. And the frustrating thing there for a lot of people is that GTA Online is just so popular that even though Red Dead Online was pretty popular, it didn't come close, so they kind of just abandoned it as time went on. I want to sit here and act like there's virtually no chance I'd ever pay $150 for GTA 6, but man, push came to shove and they did charge that much money for it on release date, and it came out and was as polished as something like a Sony game. It didn't have stuttering, it didn't have the massive PC problems that Starfield is having, it maybe ran at 60 FPS, it had incredible graphics. There is a case they could make to me to make me feel less terrible spending $150, but I would never feel really all that good about it. And it's super weird considering that Red Dead Redemption just got released on PS4 and Nintendo Switch. The ports are okay at best, I would say. Like, they legitimately look better than running the game 360 wise on an Xbox Series X, but people unlock them on both the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 5, and they are able to run at a locked 60 FPS, so they just don't for some reason. And then you look at what Rockstar did with the mobile ports to the PS4 and Xbox Series X of the original trilogy, and while they did that, they took the original versions of GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas off of all the storefronts they were available on, and those mobile ports were terrible. They looked bad, they had glitches, and they took out a lot of the cool stuff from the original games. So Rockstar, not really the most trustworthy developer right now. They also lost both of their founders, the Hauser brothers, who wrote all of the GTA games and the Red Dead Redemption games. So by the time GTA 6 comes out, it's a completely different studio making this game. And because of all of that, I don't know, I'm a little bit skeptical of even this game costing $150, but I'm also skeptical of whether or not I would pay $150 for it. All right, next up here, we got to talk about this PlayStation Showcase and how it might have been downgraded to a state of play. This thing has been rumored for a long time. Basically, what we're supposed to be looking forward to is a new showcase that's going to show us what first-party games we can look forward to in 2024 and 2025 and beyond, because as we've heard over the past few months, there's been a lot of internal delays at Sony with their first-party games, and people are getting a little bit nervous about what the output is going to be over the next year. And Sony, I think it's on them at this point to really show us what we have to be excited for other than Spider-Man 2, because they have new consoles coming out. They've got a PS5 Slim and a PS5 Pro, and the PS5 Pro specifically, I feel like we're approaching a very similar situation to the launch of the regular PS5, where there's this new console that's allegedly going to run games so much better, 4K 60, all of those buzzwords we love hearing, but I don't think it's going to be as dire as it was with the original PS5 launch, because there were obviously extenuating circumstances there. But if it's not like 1,000 times better, I don't think Sony really is justifying themselves in releasing a whole ass new console. People are getting frustrated that the games that need the PS5 that we do get, like Final Fantasy 16, are locked at 30 FPS, and it's not even close to a hard lock 30 FPS. And then even when you put it in performance mode, it runs from like 30 to 60 wildly, to the point where it goes outside the bounds of variable refresh rate, and you know, your TV can't keep up with it, and you see stuttering and frame rate hitching and all that. And it seems like Sony is building up to the solution being, oh, just buy new hardware, buy a PlayStation 5 Pro, it'll fix all of your problems, it'll run games at 4K 60. But then the same thing will happen with that happened last generation, where developers will start using that as the benchmark point instead of the original PS5, and then the original PS5 will be left behind, and everyone will start feeling like they have to get the PS5 Pro. And then when they finally get the PS5 Pro, the PS5 6 will be rumored for the next following year, and then they'll have to buy a whole nother console, and they'll probably just be pissed off. But the point of all this is Sony really needs a showcase, and we've been hearing rumors from people like Jeff Grubb. I'm pretty sure Tom Henderson had a couple articles about it, like, you know, verified people who get really good insider information and are generally pretty right. Now we're hearing that this showcase they were all rumoring may have been downgraded to a state of play, which would really just suck, in all honesty. I like state of play, I think the idea is sound, but if you take all of the state of plays we've gotten since Sony started doing them, I think there's legitimately only one that was actually good, and it's the one where Resident Evil 4 Remake was announced. And outside of that, it's either a rapid fire PSVR 2 compilation, or it's something like that Suicide Squad gameplay that made people so upset that they got rid of the game's release date and they took it off the slate completely, and now it has no release date and they're reworking everything from the ground up, it looks like. So yeah, when you take a state of play and compare it to a showcase, people just want a showcase, even considering that the last one was pretty lackluster and mediocre. I think the biggest announcement at the last PS5 showcase was just the Spider-Man 2 gameplay, and then also on top of that they tacked on the PS Portal announcement alongside the two headsets, the PlayStation Pulse Explorer and the Pulse Elite, and no one was really excited for any of that stuff. So I think people were just expecting them to have this second showcase in the back half of the year while they figured out some of the release dates and stuff like that in the background that they needed to concentrate on. We need to hear about the new Twisted Metal game because the Twisted Metal show actually turned out pretty good, and I feel like people are excited for that. We of course need to know what's going on with Konami. There's a ton of stuff going on with Silent Hill. There's a ton of stuff going on with Metal Gear. There's even more stuff going on allegedly with Castlevania. Like, let's get some updates there. Insomniac should definitely show off either the next Ratchet and Clank or Wolverine. There are a lot of games floating out there that we need updates on, but Sony has been extremely quiet, and it seems like they're all but focusing on hardware because the state of play we're getting, instead of focusing mainly on games, is allegedly going to focus mainly on the PS5 Slim and its detachable disc drive and the PlayStation Portal alongside these new headphones, which I don't think anyone really wants, right? Like, we've gotten the deep dives already. Everyone knows what the PlayStation Portal is. You can pre-order it right now for $200. It comes out November 15th. I don't really know what else Sony could dig into there other than showing off other accessories that use PlayStation Link. But even with all of that taken into account, I don't think people will be too excited about this, just because all we've been hearing about and expecting ever since that lackluster showcase is one that makes up for those problems. And next up here, I want to congratulate EA and Respawn. Jedi Survivor has finally gone gold. I can't wait to hear the release date of this game. Oh wait, I'm getting a call in my ear here. Oh, it came out months ago and they finally just finished it. It would have been crazy if EA had allowed them to just finish the game and release it when it was done, because patch 7 just came out, and not only have they rebuilt pretty much the entire game from the ground up, it seems like, to run correctly, they've even taken out features that no one really cared about, like ray tracing. I'm going to turn the sarcasm down just a little bit here. I'm just really irritated with the state of gaming right now, where we pay $70 for these games, right? Like, they increased the price of games this generation by $10, and I know there's all these justifications for it. They're like, oh, you know, inflation means they should technically be $100, and you're getting lucky that you're only paying $70. And there's all these streaming services now that are subsidizing all these budgets and all that. But if you're going to raise the price of games, you better meet the quality bar that comes along with raising the price of games. And I don't think I need to say it, but with all the PS5 only games this generation, none of them have really met that bar unless you're playing at 30 FPS. But in the case of Jedi Survivor, if you're playing at 30 FPS, it's not a locked 30 FPS. You're also using an extremely aggressive FSR2 to upscale it from a super low resolution. There are bugs, there are crashes, there was even quest lines that couldn't be finished in the game, and slowly but surely EA put out patch after patch after patch, and now we have patch 7, and it looks like it's going to be the last patch for the game. And I am happy that this game got fixed on Series X and PS5, because that's where I own Jedi Survivor. I have a PC copy because a friend of mine had an extra code, but I didn't buy it there. So yeah, the one I spent money on now is 60 FPS. Unfortunately, the PC version of the game, their crutch to make it run at 60 FPS was to introduce DLSS frame generation, and it works. It'll double your frame rate, but if you're someone like me who notices artifacting, which is like when you're moving down a menu and it's inserting those frames, you're gonna want to not use it, which is what I'm doing in Starfield. So yeah, I'm playing on PS5. The frame rate does seem a whole lot better, and I'm excited to finally finish this game. Anyway guys, that's all I've got for you today. Make sure you let me know what you think down in the comments below. Remember to subscribe and set your notifications to all if you haven't already. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.